Remember the good old days when $100 could fill a Walmart cart to the brim, stocking you up for a whole week. Now that same $100 gets you a measly bag and a lingering side eye at your own receipt. American life is changing at a terrifying speed. And the worst part? The storm might not even be here yet. Because in just a few months, according to economists and major supply chain insiders, we're barreling toward a time when things you thought were dirt cheap will turn into luxury goods. In this video, you'll discover 15 everyday items that seem ordinary now, but will be worth their weight in gold during the economic chaos looming over America. And if you're not ready, you might find yourself scrambling for the last can of soup like it's 2020 or worse. Number 1. Cooking oil. Trust me on this, in the months ahead, those bottles of cooking oil your family relies on will start vanishing from shelves. Not because folks are hoarding like during the pandemic, but for a scarier reason. Cooking oil, once dirt cheap, is turning into liquid gold in this crisis. According to a USDA report from April 2025, U.S. soybean oil reserves have plummeted to their lowest in over a decade, sitting at just 451 million pounds, a gut-punching 80 million pounds less than last year. Why a massive chunk of cooking oil is being siphoned off by the biofuel industry. The USDA projects that 13.25 billion pounds of soybean oil will go to biofuel production in 2024-2025 alone. It gets worse. Inflation is jacking up the price of canola oil, a staple in American restaurants. With 96% of canola oil imported from Canada, the government's new 25% tariff on Canadian goods has sent prices soaring, hitting the fast food industry hard. The fallout restaurants are tweaking menus, hiking prices, or even pulling fried dishes altogether. Shoppers are stuck facing skyrocketing oil prices and looming shortages. Cooking oil, once a kitchen must-have, is now becoming a luxury item. Think this won't hit you. Think again. When cooking oil gets scarce and pricey, it doesn't just mess with your daily meals. It's a glaring sign the economy is wading into serious trouble. It's time to wake up and brace for the turbulence coming our way. Number 2. Coffee beans. Coffee isn't just a drink. It's the lifeblood of America. It's what jolts moms awake at 5 a.m. to whip up breakfast for their kids. It keeps truckers sharp on cross-country hauls. It's the loyal companion of night shift workers, desk jockeys, and anyone grinding through another uncertain day. But that trusty cup of joe is slipping out of reach. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average price of ground coffee hit $7.38 per pound in March 2025, up nearly 2% in just 1 month. The highest since 2012, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Behind the scenes, things are unraveling fast. The UN's Food and Agriculture Organization reports that global coffee production tanked in 2024, hammered by droughts and erratic rains in Brazil, Vietnam, and Colombia countries that supply over 60% of America's coffee. The result, a gut-wrenching drop in global supply. Add to that skyrocketing costs for shipping, storage, and imports, and you've got retailers and coffee chains across the US jacking up prices or pulling products altogether. At a small California coffee shop, the owner told reporters, "A bag of beans that used to cost me $90 now runs over $130. We either raise prices or stop selling. There's no other way." Worse, Reuters notes that port inventories are down to half their usual levels. When a staple like coffee starts running dry on this scale, it's not just a problem for caffeine junkies, it's a wake-up call. That morning coffee isn't just about staying alert, it's a symbol of normalcy, and when normal becomes a luxury, America's veering into anxious, uncharted territory. You can give up a lot of things, but the day you can't afford your morning brew, that's when the crisis truly knocks at your door. Number 3. Toilet paper. Remember the panic of 2020, walking into a supermarket only to find the toilet paper aisle stripped bare. Now in 2025, that nightmare's creeping back, not because of a pandemic, but due to economic turbulence and trade policy shakeups. According to The Times, experts warn that the U.S. could face a severe toilet paper shortage, triggered by new tariffs on softwood imports from Canada, the primary source of pulp for toilet paper production. If Canadian pulp mills shut down under the weight of rising costs, the pulp supply chain will grind to a halt, hitting U.S. toilet paper manufacturing hard. It's not just tariffs. Major toilet paper producers like Kimberly-Clark are reeling from the pressure. The company projects an extra $300 million in production costs for 2025 due to these new trade barriers. While 80% of their products are made domestically imported, raw materials remain a critical piece of their supply chain. Consumers are already feeling the pinch. Data from the Consumer Price Index in April 2025 shows toilet paper prices have surged nearly 30% in just 1 year. In states like California and New York, the hike is even steeper. Some stores are now rationing rolls per customer to curb hoarding. In response, many Americans are pivoting to alternatives like bidets, water-based hygiene systems popular in Japan. According to the Economic Times, bidets not only cut long-term costs, but are also eco-friendly. Toilet paper, a seemingly humble necessity, has become a symbol of our fragile supply chains and the ripple effects of economic policies. When a single roll gets hard to find, it's a glaring sign we need to brace for bigger changes on the horizon. Number 4, canned foods. Picture this. It's a frigid winter evening. You drag yourself home after a grueling workday. Open your pantry and find the familiar cans of food are gone. No steaming bowls of soup. No handy tins of tuna. No nutrient-packed cans of beans. Canned foods, a cornerstone of American daily life, are becoming scarcer and pricier than ever. According to a USDA report, U.S. canned vegetable production has tanked, dropping over 6% from the previous year. The culprits: climate change hammering agricultural output, soaring production costs, and a dire shortage of farm labor. This has choked the supply of raw materials for the canned food industry, forcing factories to scale back or shutter entirely. It's not just lower output prices for canned goods are skyrocketing. Nielsen data shows a 12-15% price surge for canned foods in 2024 alone. This spike doesn't just hit shoppers' wallets. It's a gut punch to small businesses and charities that rely on affordable canned goods to feed communities. Canned foods aren't just about convenience, they're a vital source of nutrition, especially during emergencies like natural disasters or pandemics. Their scarcity and rising costs threaten national food security. If this trend holds, we could be staring down a serious food crisis in the near future. It's time to rethink the critical role canned foods play in our lives and take real steps to protect this supply. Supporting agriculture, investing in production tech, and stabilizing supply chains are urgent moves to ensure those trusty cans don't vanish from supermarket shelves. Number 5, over-the-counter cold and cough medicine. Lately, Americans are grappling with a dire shortage of over-the-counter cold and cough medicines, driven by seismic shifts in the pharmaceutical industry and regulatory decisions. A major culprit: the FDA's proposal to ban phenylephrine from OTC cold and cough drugs. Once a key ingredient in staples like Sudafed Mucinex and Dayquil, phenylephrine was deemed ineffective for relieving nasal congestion when taken orally based on new data. This move has sent shockwaves through the industry, forcing manufacturers to reformulate products or halt production entirely, leaving shelves bare. For consumers who rely on these drugs to tackle cold and flu symptoms, finding effective alternatives is now a struggle. The shortage isn't just about regulation. Global supply chain woes are also to blame. According to the American Society of Health System Pharmacists, a record 323 drugs faced shortages in Q1 2024, fueled by reliance on raw materials from China and India, plus production and distribution bottlenecks. For shoppers, this means hunting for other ways to ease cold and cough symptoms. Options like nasal sprays with oxymetazoline or pseudoephedrine can help, though they come with side effects and limits on long-term use. Natural remedies, plenty of rest. Hydration humidifiers and saltwater gargles can also provide relief. In this climate, staying informed and consulting healthcare pros before using any medication is critical. Consumers should also double-check labels to avoid phenylephrine-based products, especially as the FDA moves to phase them out. The shortage of OTC cold and cough meds is a stark reminder of our fragile pharmaceutical supply chain and the urgent need to diversify sourcing and invest in better treatments. Number 6, bottled water. Few products feel as simple or instantly reassuring as a bottle of spring water. Buy it, crack it open. Drink, no second thoughts. No worries about chlorine in tap water. No stress over a faulty filter. No fear of city pipe failures. But that peace of mind is becoming a privilege, and an expensive one. In March 2025, the Producer Price Index for bottled water in the US hit 109.2, a 10-year high per St. Louis Fed data. Meanwhile, the average price for a 16.9 Oz bottle in many states has soared past $150, up nearly 20% since the year began, according to the U.S. Beverage Market Review. Why it's not just rising costs for plastic shipping or fuel. Clean water, once thought to be limitless, is becoming a conditional commodity. In states like Arizona, California, and Nevada, where prolonged droughts have drained major reservoirs like Lake Mead and Lake Powell to critical lows, bottling plants are slashing output. Some areas now face restrictions on groundwater extraction permits, forcing giants like Nestlé and Niagara Bottling to pause distribution in certain inland regions. Translation water isn't flowing steadily through production lines anymore. The fallout low-income communities where tap water is often unreliable are shelling out more for bottles they once considered a steal. Meanwhile, supermarkets and convenience stores are capping how many bottles each customer can buy during peak weeks. In 2025, America, where you're already rationing canned food and toilet paper, having to think twice about a bottle of water is unthinkable. Yet it's happening. Water, the ultimate symbol of life, is being taxed by the instability of our times. Number 7. Eggs. Those humble icons of simplicity and nutrition are morphing into luxury items on American supermarket shelves. Just over a month ago, the average price for a dozen large, grade A eggs hit a record $6.23, an 84% spike from early 2024, per the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. And brace yourself, inflation is making egg prices even wilder. The main culprit, the H5N1 avian flu, which has wiped out over 166 million chickens since 2022, gutting the nation's egg supply. Rebuilding flocks takes 5 to 6 months, meaning shortages drag on and prices keep soaring. This has forced stores like Trader Joe's and Whole Foods to cap how many eggs each customer can buy, curbing hoarding and profiteering. Even restaurants like Waffle House are tacking on a 50-cent surcharge per egg on their menus. Skyrocketing poultry feed, costs, labor shortages, and pricier transportation are also fueling the egg price surge. States like California and Colorado, where cage-free egg mandates raise production costs, are seeing even steeper prices. For many American families, eggs aren't just a dietary staple, they're a cornerstone of daily meals. Sky-high prices and scarce supply are straining budgets, especially as inflation and living costs climb. While authorities scramble to contain avian flu and stabilize the market, consumers need to shop smart ration eggs and explore alternative protein sources to keep their families nourished. Number 8. Refined sugar. Some things you never think you'll miss until they're gone from your kitchen. A spoonful of sugar in your morning coffee, a sprinkle on your oatmeal, a cup for the birthday cake you baked for your grandkid. Those little moments once taken for granted are becoming things you have to second guess. In 2025, sugar isn't cheap as dirt anymore. Droughts in Brazil, floods in Thailand, and India's export curbs have sent global sugar prices through the roof. But for Americans, the real kicker is closer to home. U.S. sugar prices are double the global average thanks to decades-old protectionist policies. The result, a 4-pound bag of sugar once under $2 now costs nearly $5 in many states, if you can even find it on the shelves. You might think it's just sugar? I'll cut back on sweets. But for small bakeries in Kansas, family-owned candy shops in Pennsylvania, or moms cooking at home to save a buck, a bag of sugar, costing twice as much, can be the final straw. Ice cream sandwiches get pricier. Simple wedding cakes turn extravagant, and those sweet holiday treats don't show up as often. Every spoonful of sugar isn't just sweetness, it's memory, it's connection. It's how working-class Americans keep family traditions alive with their hands and a spoon in a modest kitchen. But now even that's under threat, not by natural disasters alone, but by an economic system that no longer prioritizes the simple things. Number 9. Milk and dairy products. Milk, once a symbol of abundance and care, is now making American families think twice before tossing it into their carts. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average price of a gallon of whole milk hit $4.05 in March 2025, creeping up from the previous month. It might sound like a small bump, but for low-income households, that extra cost is a real financial gut punch. It's not just milk. Other dairy staples like cheese and butter are riding a price roller coaster too. A USDA report notes that while cheddar cheese and butter prices dipped slightly below earlier forecasts, they're still painfully high. This squeezes small businesses and shoppers alike as production and grocery bills climb. The trouble isn't just domestic. A surge in U.S. dairy exports in early 2025 has drained local supplies. Add to that labor shortages in farming and manufacturing, and you've got a recipe for strained supply chains and pricier products. For families with young kids or elderly folks needing calcium, the rising cost and scarcity of milk and dairy are a serious hurdle. Breakfast bowls of cereal and milk or desserts with cheese and butter are starting to feel like luxuries. In this mess, finding affordable alternatives and leaning on community or government support is more urgent than ever. Because milk isn't just food. It's a symbol of care, nutrition, and love in every American home. Number 10. Fresh vegetables. Veggies used to be the go-to for folks on a budget. A bunch of kale, a few potatoes, a handful of green onions. Simple, easy to cook. Dirt cheap. No freezing. No fancy processing. Just water heat and the know-how of someone stretching $1. But in 2025, America veggies aren't for the broke anymore. They're becoming one of the priciest, most unpredictable items in the supermarket. In just the first 6 months of the year, fresh vegetable prices in the US jumped over 8% per the latest Consumer Price Index report. A single carrot, once under 30 cents, now hits 60, A head of fresh lettuce, it can run nearly $3 in city markets. No single storm caused this. It's a relentless chain of chaos. An unusually cold spring in California delayed harvests by 3 weeks. Floods in Texas wiped out freshly planted fields. Skyrocketing fertilizer and fuel costs have turned even the cheapest greens into a supply chain burden. The real kicker: the inconsistency. 1 week spinach overflows the bins. The next you can't find a single fresh bunch that's not wilted or crushed. In some places, supermarkets are swapping local produce for imports from Mexico, stuff many Americans don't trust or recognize. This turns simple meals, a stir-fried veggie plate, a humble veggie soup, into a gamble. Home cooks can't plan meals anymore. They hit the store and improvise. Vegetables aren't just food, they define healthy living. The only option for folks wanting to eat clean and live long without the cash for organic. When even veggies become a luxury, it's clear we've entered an era where simplicity comes with a price tag. Number 11, cereal. If there's one food that's a non-negotiable morning ritual for Americans, it's cereal. Cheap, energizing, and everywhere. Sadly, that's starting to change. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Consumer Price Index for cereals and cereal products climbed 11% in the 12 months ending March 2025. That might sound modest, but paired with rampant inflation and stagnant wages, it's piling serious financial pressure on families. It's not just prices, cereal supply is taking a hit too. The UN's Food and Agriculture Organization predicts global grain stocks will drop 19% by the end of the 2025 harvest, down to 868.2 million tons. Harsh weather and global supply chain snarls are the main culprits. Big cereal makers like WK Kellogg are feeling the squeeze. In Q1 2025, the company's organic net sales fell 5.6%, driven by an 8.6% drop in sales volume. They've hiked prices to compensate, but that's only making shoppers warier. For many families, especially middle and low-income ones, grabbing a box of cereal for breakfast isn't a no-brainer anymore. They're forced to weigh keeping their convenient morning routine against pinching pennies. Some are switching to oatmeal toast or even skipping breakfast altogether. Cereal isn't just food, it's woven into American culture and daily habits. Its fading accessibility mirrors deeper economic and social shifts. When a simple breakfast becomes a stretch, it's a wake-up call to rethink how our food and economic systems are functioning. Number 12, poultry. Growing up, you might not have had steak, but you definitely had chicken. A golden fried drumstick in your school lunch, a pot of mom's chicken soup when you had a fever. Chicken is America's go-to meat, not just because it's cheap, but because it's familiar. But in 2025, that comforting staple is drifting out of reach for humble dinner tables. Walk into a Costco in Ohio or Texas, whole chicken now hovers around $1.80 per pound, up nearly 30% from 2 years ago, even though the USDA claims prices are cooling. But you know what's not cooling? Fuel costs, feed prices, and the ever-looming threat of disease. From late 2024 into this year, the H5N1 avian flu has ravaged Midwest farms, wiping out tens of millions of chickens. It's not just emptying coops, it's emptying affordable meals for working-class families. A bucket of fried chicken. Once a family dinner now gets rationed into smaller portions. Fast food joints are ditching wing specials because there's not enough stock. Some small restaurants are pivoting to pork, even if customers aren't used to it. The real heartbreak? Chicken was the fallback for the poor when beef and pork prices soared. Now it's become the meat you have to budget for. Never in modern America have we seen the most basic choices. A chicken leg, a decent meal, feel so fragile. And if chicken, the food meant for everyone, slips out of reach, how much of our everyday normal can we still hold on to? Number 13, diapers. There's one item new parents always toss into their carts without fanfare: diapers. Not a gift, a necessity. 3 a day, sometimes 6. No room for error because a baby doesn't wait. Yet right now, in the so-called richest country on earth, more and more American parents are forced to count diapers before they count their cash. A pack of Pampers. Size 2 now runs close to $35 in many states before wipes, before taxes. For folks scraping by on hourly wages, cleaners, delivery drivers, diner servers, it's a brutal choice: diapers or the electric bill. Worse programs like SNAP or WIC, which cover food, don't touch diapers, because diapers aren't food. But how do you drop your kid at daycare without one? How do you go to work, school, or a doctor's visit if your child isn't in a clean diaper? See the problem: a basic item is leaving 1 in 2 U.S. families with young kids short on diapers, daily per the National Diaper Bank Network. And when you hear about a mom reusing diapers by drying them in the sun, not out of carelessness, but because she's flat broke, you realize this isn't just a health crisis. It's a moral wound in America's heart. We don't need free diapers for everyone. But But in a country that calls itself civilized, no child should wait for a clean diaper, and no parent should feel shame for not having enough to care for their kid. Number 14. Toys. With consumer prices turning our bills into a crushing burden, many folks are thinking ahead, snapping up toys as holiday gifts for their kids or grandkids. But because so many share that mindset, toys, especially those made in China, are becoming anything but easy to get. According to the Toy Association, 96% of US toy companies are small or medium-sized businesses, and nearly half are at risk of closing due to new tariff policies. Sky-high tariffs on Chinese imports have sent toy prices soaring, especially during the end-of-year shopping rush. Mattel, the maker of Barbie and Hot Wheels, announced plans to hike US prices and shift production away from China to cope. The company aims to cut its China-based manufacturing to under 15% by the end of 2026. It's not just big players, small retailers are buckling. Too many have stopped ordering for the holiday season because import costs are too steep, risking empty shelves. In this mess, toys once a simple joy for kids are turning into luxury items. Low-income families are slashing budgets, and kids may have to make do with fewer toys or none at all. Toys aren't just playthings, they're tools for building skills, sparking imagination, and nurturing emotions. When they become out of reach, we're not just robbing kids of childhood fun. We're stealing chances for the next generation to grow and thrive. Number 15. Affordable clothing and footwear. Once a hallmark of thrift and convenience, affordable clothing and footwear have been loyal companions for American workers through freezing winters and sweltering summers. A pair of sneakers snagged during a sale, a simple but cozy jacket. These are the unsung essentials of daily life. But now the wardrobes of working folks are facing a quiet crisis. Prices are spiking, options are dwindling, and items once easy to grab are becoming a financial burden. The fallout shoppers face steeper costs while retailers scramble to adapt their strategies. Many are turning to thrift stores or holding out for major sales to stretch their dollars, but not everyone can wait or find what they need. For workers who rely on sturdy clothes and shoes for their daily grind, the scarcity and soaring prices are hitting their lives and livelihoods hard. In this landscape, ensuring access to affordable clothing and footwear for all is a towering challenge. Nonprofits and communities are stepping up with aid, but lasting solutions demand public policy action and society-wide support. Clothing and footwear aren't just necessities. They're symbols of confidence, dignity, and the ability to engage in society. When these basics slip out of reach, it's time to rethink how we support and protect the workers who keep our world running every day. We've always assumed the essentials, from breakfast cereal to work shoes to a diaper for your kid, would be there within reach, but 2025 is proving otherwise. And the question looms: if even the necessities turn luxurious, what's left for the working class? This video isn't about stoking division or conspiracies. It's about shining a light on a stark reality. The economy is shifting in ways that make the simplest things fragile. If you're living through these changes, if the things you once took for granted now feel pricey or scarce, drop your story in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next videos, where we dig into the truths mainstream media often sidesteps. All analysis here is grounded in current data and independent perspectives, not meant to predict the future with certainty. We respect the US Constitution and federal regulations, and we hope this content equips our community with the info to think, reflect, and act before it's too late.